Title: A cheating wife demands a divorce after a year-long affair, expecting to leave on her terms. But instead of breaking, the husband is more than happy to let her go. He plays smart, cuts her off completely, takes control, and in the end, he wins. She loses everything. Monday morning arrived like any other, a quiet, uneventful start to the week. The scent of freshly brewed coffee filled the kitchen as Daniel Carter sat at the table, flipping through the morning newspaper. Across from him, his wife, Elena, finished her last sip of orange juice, an unreadable expression on her face. "Daniel," she said suddenly, her voice firm but devoid of emotion, "can you put the paper down? We need to talk." Daniel glanced up, folding the paper just enough to meet her eyes. There was something unsettling in her tone, like a surgeon about to make an incision. "I'm leaving you," she continued, her fingers gripping the table edge. "I want a divorce." Daniel took a slow sip of his coffee before setting it down. Then, without so much as a blink, he picked up the paper again and flipped to the sports section. "Is that all?" he asked coolly. Her composure cracked. "Damn it, Daniel. Put the paper down. This is serious." He sighed, set the newspaper aside, and leaned back in his chair. His gaze, sharp as a blade, locked onto hers. "Serious? Elena, you haven't been serious about this marriage for over a year. So forgive me if I don't act heartbroken." She flinched, just for a second, but quickly masked it with anger. "You knew?" Daniel let a cold smirk curl his lips. "You think I'm blind? You think I didn't notice the late nights, the sudden need for girls' weekends, the shift in how you touched me?" He leaned forward, lowering his voice. "You've been cheating on me for over a year, Elena. And now, you finally grew the spine to admit it." Her lips parted, but no words came out. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a folded envelope, and slid it across the table. "Here, since you're leaving me, give this to Liam, your new man." Elena's hands trembled as she picked it up. She opened it, and her face drained of color as she read, "Liam, congratulations. She's your problem now. Hope you have enough money to keep her entertained, because she sure gets bored easily. Good luck, buddy. You'll need it." Daniel took another sip of his coffee, savoring the moment. "Now, get your things and leave." Elena's eyes burned with fury. "I'm not going anywhere, Daniel. This is my house too." Daniel chuckled, standing up. "Not for long." With that, he grabbed his keys and walked out, leaving her alone in the kitchen, staring at the envelope like it was a grenade she had just pulled the pin from. Daniel drove in silence, the city passing in a blur outside his car window. The anger that had burned in his chest moments ago had settled into something colder, something more dangerous. Precision. At a red light, he grabbed his phone and dialed the bank. "This is Daniel Carter. I need to close all joint accounts immediately." The representative hesitated. "Sir, are both account holders aware of this request?" "She will be soon enough," Daniel said flatly. "I want the funds transferred to a new account under my name only. Effective immediately." By the time he reached his office, his financial tracks were already covered. Every joint credit card? Canceled. Safe deposit box? Emptied. Within a few hours, Elena would find herself in a world of inconvenience. And that was just the beginning. At work, his assistant, Sophia, noticed his unusually quiet demeanor. "You okay, boss?" she asked, setting a fresh coffee on his desk. Daniel looked up, a slow smirk forming. "You remember your sister?" Sophia raised an eyebrow. "Yeah. She's still interested?" Sophia laughed. "To hell with my sister. I'm interested." Daniel hadn't expected that. He studied Sophia, sharp, confident, always composed. The complete opposite of Elena. "I'll keep that in mind," he said, and she gave him a knowing smile before walking out. That night, Daniel stayed late at the office, deliberately avoiding the house. When he finally returned home, Elena was still there. She sat at the kitchen table, a pile of paperwork in front of her. She looked up when he entered, eyes filled with barely contained rage. "You emptied our accounts," she accused. "Correction," Daniel said, tossing his keys onto the counter. "I emptied my accounts. You just happened to have access to them. Until today." Her nostrils flared. How could you do this to me? Daniel leaned against the counter, arms crossed. How could you screw another man in my house and expect me to keep paying your bills? Elena's face turned red. You bastard. Me? He chuckled, shaking his head. No, Elena. You did this to yourself. She shoved back from the table, grabbing her purse. I'll get a lawyer. You should, Daniel said, his tone light. Make sure your new boyfriend can afford it, though. You won't be using my money. She stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind her. Daniel exhaled, rubbing his temples. 1 down, 3 moves ahead. This wasn't just revenge. This was strategy. By morning, Daniel was already 3 steps ahead. He woke up early, took his coffee to go, and drove straight to his lawyer's office. Alex Turner had been a friend since childhood, now a powerhouse divorce attorney with a reputation for dismantling cases before they even hit the courtroom. Alex leaned back in his chair, smirking. So, your wife cheated, and now she wants a divorce? Daniel nodded. She thinks she's in control. Alex chuckled, shaking his head. They always do. But let me guess, you've already pulled the financial plug? Daniel slid a folder across the desk. Bank accounts, credit cards, joint assets, already separated. Alex flipped through the papers and let out an approving whistle. Damn, you work fast. She's not getting a cent more than the law requires, Daniel said. I want a restraining order, for good measure. Alex arched an eyebrow. Why? Daniel smirked. Because I'm going to make her desperate. And when people get desperate, they get sloppy. The first blow. At exactly 10 a.m., Elena was served divorce papers. At work, the entire office went silent as she stared at the papers, her face draining of color. The whispering started immediately, colleagues exchanging glances, smirking behind their hands. Her phone buzzed. Daniel. She hesitated before answering. You son of a... Morning, Elena, Daniel said smoothly. Enjoying your day? You serve me at my job? He chuckled. I figured you'd want to get the news in a professional setting. You bastard. Funny, Daniel mused. You didn't call me that when you were sneaking around behind my back. Now pack up your stuff. There's a sign waiting for you at home. Elena's stomach dropped. What sign? At noon, she pulled into the driveway and nearly screamed. A giant cardboard sign stood in front of the open garage, written in bold black marker. Elena, all your things are in the garage. Your key won't work. Good luck. She ran to the front door, fumbling for her key, only to confirm what she already feared. The locks had been changed. Furious, she kicked the door. Daniel, she shouted. Inside, Daniel sipped his whiskey, watching her through the security cameras. He smirked as she stormed back to her car, screeching out of the driveway. The game had just begun. The descent. That night, Daniel's phone rang. Elena. He answered casually. Hello? Where are my things? She shrieked. In the garage, as stated, he said calmly. This is cruel. Daniel chuckled. Cruel? Cruel is cheating on your husband for over a year, and then acting like the victim when you get caught. This? He let out a mock sigh. This is just consequences. Elena's voice turned desperate. Daniel, please. Let's talk about this. He took a sip of his drink, savoring the moment. She was breaking. There's nothing to talk about, he said. You wanted out. You got it. Click. He hung up. Elena was on the verge of falling apart. And Daniel? He was just getting started. Daniel woke up early, stretching as he glanced at the security footage from the night before. As expected, Elena had returned, desperate, furious, and reckless. The footage showed her trying to break in through the garage. She had trashed the kitchen, shattered plates, and, most entertainingly, peed on his clothes. He chuckled, shaking his head. Predictable. His phone buzzed. It was Alex. She broke into the house, Daniel said before Alex could speak. Trashed the place. Alex whistled. You got proof? Daniel smirked. Crystal clear footage. You think a judge will enjoy watching her squat on my shirts? Alex laughed. Oh, you are going to bury her. The unraveling. By 10 a.m., Elena was arrested at work, handcuffed, humiliated, and walked out of her office in front of everyone. Her shriek could probably be heard across the entire building. "This is insane. I just wanted to get my stuff." The officer was unfazed. "Ma'am, you violated a restraining order and committed property destruction. You'll have a chance to explain yourself to the judge." By noon, Daniel was sipping his coffee, watching the security footage again, when his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Daniel Carter. A deep sigh came through the line. "It's me." Elena's voice was hollow. "I need help." Daniel exhaled, shaking his head. There it is. The inevitable plea for mercy. "You need help?" he echoed. "Funny, I needed a faithful wife. Guess we're both out of luck." "Daniel, please. I don't have anywhere to go." "That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem," he said coldly. "Liam kicked you out already?" Silence. A slow, cruel smirk crept onto his face. "Of course he did. You made your choice, Elena," he continued. "And now, you're dealing with the consequences. Enjoy them." And with that, he hung up. Victory served cold. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. Elena fought for alimony, but the judge, who had already seen the security footage, wasn't sympathetic. $100 a week for 2 years, the judge ruled. Or until she remarries. Daniel barely contained his grin. He knew she wouldn't last a year before latching onto another poor soul. And sure enough, 7 months post-divorce, she was back living with her parents. The last laugh. One night, 8 months after the divorce, Daniel was at a bar, enjoying a quiet drink. Someone slid onto the stool beside him. "Can I buy you a beer?" a familiar voice asked. Daniel turned his head. Liam. Curious, he gestured for the bartender to pour. "You still with her?" Liam let out a bitter laugh. "Hell no." Daniel took a sip, amused. "What happened?" "She wanted a ring. I wasn't dumb enough to give her one." Liam rubbed his temples. "I thought she was something special. But man, she's just a habitual cheater." Daniel smirked. "Took you long enough." Liam sighed, then reached into his pocket and placed something on the counter. Daniel frowned, picking it up. A check. A very large one. "What's this?" Liam took a swig of his beer. "Remember that lottery ticket you gave me? Turns out it was a winner." Daniel blinked. "You're kidding." "Nope. I waited to cash it until after your divorce. Figured you shouldn't have to split it with her. Half of it's yours." Daniel chuckled, shaking his head. "Well, damn. That's the best breakup gift I've ever gotten." Liam smirked. "Cheers to dodging bullets, then." They clinked glasses. New beginnings. Back at the office, Daniel's assistant, Sophia, raised an eyebrow as he walked in. "You look like the cat that just ate the canary," she teased. Daniel chuckled. Lunch had been interesting indeed. "Maria doesn't work here anymore, huh?" Sophia added, smirking. Daniel grinned. "No, she's home. Painting the nursery." Sophia's eyes widened. "Nursery?" "For the twins," Daniel said casually, tossing his keys onto the desk. Sophia let out a slow whistle. "Damn, guess you really won." Daniel leaned back, smirking. "Yeah," he said. "I really did."